So you'll be talking. Your pen and your...
I'd like to call this meeting of the Urbana City Council to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Chenoweth?
Present.
Mr. Hayes?
Present.
Ms. Guth?
Here.
Mr. Otto?
Here.
Ms. Pat?
Present.
Mr. Whalen? Ms. Wyman?
Here.
Mayor Satterthwaite?
Here. First item on our agenda this evening is approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
So moved.
Is there a motion? Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Motion is second. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Ms. Pat?
Thank you. On page 4, the very bottom of the page, it's just missing who made the motion. I think that was Ms. Wyman, so if we could change that to Alderwoman Wyman moved to approve the annual staff appointments.
Objection to that change? Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any additions or corrections to the agenda this evening? Seeing none, we'll go to petitions and communications. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to come speak to the council for a period of no more than 5 minutes, please pick up a card and fill it out, bring it up to myself or the clerk, and you'll have a chance to do so. We have with us tonight the Honorable Representative Naomi Jacobson, who is bringing us greetings from Springfield and also down the street. Naomi?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, I just really came this evening to say good evening and that I'm back from Springfield where the session has ended, at least for a while. We may be called back for committee meetings or something, but otherwise not until the veto session in the fall. But I wanted to just say that, you know, I can be reached now in my Champaign District office, which is in the old Robeson building. And, you know, so now if you really want to place a call and get me, you don't even have to pay a toll call. I'm not in Springfield for a while. I am in the community every day, willing to talk to people, willing to meet with representatives of organizations and individuals, so please feel free to contact me, and I have a business card for everybody just in case you don't have my contact information. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Representative Jacobson? Yes, Ms. Wyman?
Do you have any update on funding for the library expansion?
That was a question I anticipated. And so I personally called Springfield today, which is something that we've done regularly when we call the Department of Economic Development Opportunities. They know when we're calling, why we're calling. We're calling for Urbana usually. And what we have been assured is that the paperwork and everything is perfect on this one. The Urbana Library is the kind of project that they'll release funds for when the funds are released, but there is still no word on when that's going to happen.
And any update on the King School as well? I know that the school board member who's representing that district has also been working on the issue.
They too have, you know, written as many letters, I think, as you people have, and we've made as many phone calls on their behalf. I went to the UCAN meeting on Thursday evening and made phone calls on Thursday. Pretty much the same message. You know, the governor says that what he wants are, you know, educational opportunities as priorities, so I'm just waiting for him. I can't write the check. I'm waiting for him to sign that check.
Thank you.
Anything else? Yes, Mr. Whalen?
Hello, Ms. Jacobson. Thanks for coming down here. It's very gracious of you. You sent us a couple of letters, I guess at least I got a couple, which I appreciate, inviting me to participate in certain meetings that you had. I wasn't able to attend because I'm out of town lot. But I do want to thank you. I sent somebody over to your office who had a special problem. Ms. Kearns was able to help her and give her some advice, and it's being very helpful in our community. I thank you.
Well, thank you. That's what we're there for, so please, if you can't make a meeting that we've invited you to, feel free to, send any input that you feel would be appropriate.
Those council members that don't know, and members of the audience, a former city council member, Carolyn Kearns, is working full-time in Representative Jacobson's office, and when Naomi's been in session, I've worked closely with Carolyn in trying to track our library funds. So when Naomi's busy on the floor, why she's got Carolyn bird dogging our project for us. So we're putting a lot of pressure on over there, and they, as Naomi says, they know about us, but the governor still hasn't released the funds. But we're optimistic at this point. Well, thank you, Representative Jacobson, for coming and giving us a little bit of an update on that.
You're welcome.
Any other petitions and communications from members of the public? Council members?
Yeah, I have two things. One is regarding, I know Mr. Otto is our representative on, the council representative on the Traffic Commission, and I'm wondering if I can request either Mr. Gray or Mr. Otto to put on the next agenda the issue. I think it would be an issue for Traffic Commission, and that is loud traffic at the Sunnycrest 2 apartments. I know I spoke with someone I met here in the city building who knows Joe and is a constituent of his, and I know he's talked with Mr. Whalen about this issue, but there's some people, I think some traffic that goes too quickly around Sunnycrest 2 in that apartment complex, and I think is of concern. I'm not sure if it would be traffic or if it would be, I should talk with Chief Adair about the issue, but...
Well, yes, Mr. Otto?
Is the problem speeding or not having mufflers or what?
I think there are several issues, as I understand it from the gentleman, and one is speeding in the Sunnycrest 2 lot, which I guess is a private lot. There's also really loud music late at night, and so that's one of the other issues that obviously isn't a probably traffic issue, but more perhaps a police enforcement issue.
It'll sound like more police enforcement
All
than
right,
traffic.
so I'll talk with Chief Adair about this.
Yeah, right, and encourage people to call for noise violations and that type of thing. A lot of people are hesitant to call 911, but there is a non-emergency number at MedCat, which is 333-8911, and call that for noise complaints and so forth, and they're very responsive.
Okay. I had one other issue, and that is just a request. I know that the new appointments to boards and commissions will be coming up in the next couple of weeks, probably. And just a request, I think, as the mayor did for us last year when appointments came forward, to get a list of people, a complete list of people who have applied in the last 12 months for each of the boards and commissions, the boards that they've applied for, and then who the mayor is not asking or not reappointing to that board or commission. If you bring forward that with, or put in our packets along with the names of people you're appointing, I'd appreciate that.
Let me just follow up on that. If anybody is interested in serving on a board or commission, they can give my office a call, and we can send out an application, or you can come by and pick one up. And it's also available online. If you go to, I think, the mayor's office on the Urbana website, you can get to the application for boards and commissions. If people are interested, fill it out, get it in, and I'll schedule an appointment with you to see if the board or commission that you're interested in has a vacancy and that type of thing. So if you are interested, I am accepting applications right now. Bring them into my office, and I'll schedule an interview with you. Any other petitions and communications from council members? Seeing none, we'll go on to old business. We have one item under old business, and that is the 2003-2004 budget. It is an ordinance approving the annual budget for FY 03-04, and it was deferred from the meeting on June 2nd. so I guess we don't need a motion since it was deferred. Is there any discussion on the budget? Yes, Ms. White.
Just want to clarify that includes the Sunnycrest Loan Program budget change that was, that we discussed 2 weeks ago. Is that correct?
Right, it includes, yeah,
Mr. Mayor, would it be helpful if I read the 4 changes?
yeah, sure enough.
Last week, I distributed the changes as we know them to the budget, and I did make, since that time, one very minor change. So for perhaps those watching in the record, I'll just read them. Social service allocation, city funding is $162,500 per the allocation list that was attached last week. Page 102, General Fund, CD Department, change payment to ED Development Corporation to $13,000. Add line item for economic development, contractual studies, and personnel, $25,230. Small change there. Page 129, TIF 2 Fund, Lot 25, expansion, Greek Street property, requires approval of the City Council before expenditure is made. Page 151, Economic Development Fund, add expenditure, Sunnycrest Loan Program, $50,000. Those are the changes as I know them.
That Sunnycrest was after we moved it from. Go ahead and get a fresh motion on the table that incorporates all the changes up till now.
So I'll move the budget, the ordinance number 2003-05-055, an ordinance approving the annual budget fiscal year 2003-2004 with the $162,500 from the city budget, for social services, $13,000 to the Economic Development Corporation, then the economic development, the line item for economic development contractual use as well as personnel would be $25,230, and then on page 151, the Economic Development Fund, add the expenditure of the Sunnycrest Loan Program of $50,000. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
For reasons that I'm sure you know, I can't vote for the budget because of the contribution of money to Planned Parenthood and because of the fact that they do perform abortions, I think estimated at about 30 a month, and so I plan to vote no for the budget, and I'm sorry because there's so many good things that we do with that money.
Any further discussion? Further discussion? Is the clerk here? Wait just a minute. There's no further discussion. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderpersons Chenoweth? Hayes?
Yes.
Huth?
Yes.
Otto?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Whalen?
No.
Wyman?
Yes.
Mayor vote on this one?
Motion carries with 6 ayes. We'll move now to reports of standing committees. We have the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Hayes, you're the chair. Give a report, please.
Item E1, resolution number 2003-06-014R, a resolution ascertaining the prevailing wages 2003-2004. So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second concerning prevailing wages. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Chenoweth?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Ms. Huth?
Yes.
Mr. Otto?
Yes.
Ms. Pat?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Ms. Wyman?
Yes.
That motion carries with 7 ayes. Mr. Hayes?
Item E1B, ordinance number 2003-06-056, an ordinance approving a second amendment to a certain Urbana Home Consortium Community Housing Development Organization Agreement with Homestead Corporation. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Chenoweth? Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Ms. Huth?
Yes.
Mr. Otto?
Yes.
Ms. Pat?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Ms. Wyman?
Yes.
Motion carries with 7 ayes. Mr. Hayes?
E1C, ordinance number 2003-06-057, an ordinance annexing certain territory to the city of Urbana, 2506 East Washington Street. So moved.
Second.
Second, is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Chenoweth? Yes. Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Ms. Huth?
Yes.
Mr. Otto?
Yes.
Ms. Pat?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Ms. Wyman?
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries with 7 ayes. Mr. Hayes?
E1D, ordinance number 2003-06-058, an ordinance annexing certain territory to the city of Urbana, 1702 North Cunningham Avenue. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Chenoweth?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Ms. Huth?
Yes.
Mr. Otto?
Yes.
Ms. Pat?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Ms. Wyman?
Yes.
Motion carries with 7 ayes. Mr. Hayes? Reports of officers? Mr. Walden?
Mr. Mayor, just to remind those residents watching that the Build Urbana Home Parade is next Saturday and Sunday. I do have a couple of brochures that are very nicely done. Pass around. More of those are available. They highlight the quality of life in Urbana, including those services provided by the Park District, School District, and all the available subdivisions that we have in Urbana. I think we've settled on a date now, Mr. Mayor, for the public hearing on the Illinois Power Company electric service and reliability issues. I have a handout. I'll take one of those. This special study session agenda will occur next Wednesday, June 25th at 7 p.m. at the Champaign City Council chambers. If there is a need for a second meeting, we will hold that meeting here in Urbana. The purpose of the meeting is for the public to testify on their recent experience with Illinois Power Company in terms of electric service and electric reliability. And this will, we will have staff representatives at that meeting, and we will also provide a notice, Open Meetings Act notice for council members in case council members wish to attend.
Might note that in the notice here, it asks that people who wish to testify pre-register by June 23rd, so that would be 2 days in advance of the public hearing.
One more item, Mr. Mayor. Next week, we'll begin to discuss, we have 2 or 3 development agreements that we want to bring to committee. One of them is likely to be the O'Brien agreement, and we've made some changes in that agreement since we looked at it last. And I did find a couple of really good articles that I want to pass around. I know the last couple of weeks I've provided an awful lot of paper, but there's one of the issues involved in the redo of the development agreement is the use of special service area financing. And I found 2 excellent articles. One is by Attorney's Title Guarantee Fund, which gives the basics of the special service area financing concept. And another one is an article that was published in the Illinois Municipal Review, which reviews the recent history of special service areas in Illinois with some examples. And I just provide that to you as background information because we'll probably begin to discuss this next week, this very issue. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any questions? Seeing no questions, we'll move on to new business. First is a resolution approving the 2003 update of the capital improvement plan for the city of Urbana. This was presented some weeks ago, and we usually take it in conjunction with the budget, and so it's appearing tonight. for final approval. Any questions on that? Mr. Gray is here. If there are no questions, a motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just wanted to underline that we have in the CIP plan lights going in on Lincoln Avenue at, I think, Nevada and Pennsylvania. And those, I sent out an email to constituents of mine, goes out to about 250 people to tell them about those lights. And I forwarded some of their comments to Mr. Gray. They're extremely excited about lights going in at those locations. So I just want to reiterate that time schedule is pretty important for the residents, and they're excited about seeing lights there in 2005. So I can continue to pass on feedback to Public Works as I receive it.
Okay, any other discussion on this year's capital improvement plan? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And finally, this evening, we have an ordinance approving an amendment to Section 2-160 of the Urbana Code of Ordinances, the waiting period for street vacations. Start with Bill. Start with Bill? Okay.
Thank you. Jack provided a memo in your packets, but this is an area that we feel would be important to help us, especially when there are tighter time constraints with needing to vacate certain streets, especially related to developments or other related type activities. We've had a 45-day comment period after a public hearing for some time, and probably over the last 7 years or so, we've done a variety of street vacations, and Jack noted in the memo, and I would probably concur, we've rarely had anyone even speak to the issue, much less against such vacations. I would say typically that's because it's a single property owner or two property owners. They're notified in advance. We certainly look at the public interest when we look at vacating streets, and we don't do it to make it more inconvenient for driving from point A to point B, but it's usually a situation with redevelopment that's occurring. The university situations are good examples. A lot of streets have been vacated there, but there's been some others elsewhere too. So we feel this 45-day waiting period could be reduced to 10 days. We think that still allows for not only the public hearing, but also a reasonable amount of time after that point when we announce the council consideration for a street vacation of 10 days. And I would expect that even prior to such a public hearing, if there was some negative reactions, staff would certainly know about it ahead of time. You would hear about it, of course, at that time. But usually these have been pretty benign. There have been no comments to them. And we're suggesting maybe making it a shorter period of time, and this would help us with some anticipated vacations coming up here pretty quickly, which include university-related agreements, previous agreements for vacations, and the deadline we're trying to get to.
Any questions?
I just want to clarify that the vote we're taking tonight is just reducing the amount of time, and it's not it's not voting on the vacation of any particular street.
Correct. Yeah, the process is the same. We still notify people within so many feet of the vacation. We still have an advance notification in the papers of such a public hearing. So the only aspect of this whole process is the comment period after the public hearing from 45 days to 10 days. But the prior notification, the hearing itself, and right, you're not voting on any particular vacation tonight, just the process.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If there are no other questions, a motion would be in order.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Chenoweth?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Ms. Huth?
Yes.
Mr. Otto?
Yes.
Ms. Pat? Mr. Whalen?
Yes?
Ms. Wyman?
Yes.
Motion carries with 7 ayes. And Bill, before you leave, one thing I wanted to bring up under reports of officers is the detour around the Vine and Washington area. And I noticed the crews are out there putting some additional signage up because we did have a couple accidents in the detour route. Seems like people that are used to going up and down Vine Street are not familiar with the residential area that they're going through. And we did have an accident where someone did not notice a stop sign. So we are were stop signs added on Oregon? Can you tell us what the changes are over there?
Yes. Today, we added temporary four-way stops at Anderson and Oregon and at Anderson and California streets in response to these accidents that have been brought to our attention in the last few days. The first 2 weeks, things went fine, but we looked at it closer, and Oregon and California in particular have been kind of uninterrupted travelways east and westbound, and I think there's some. I'm looking to get the reports themselves to see if there's any other specifics, but we feel while this detour route is in effect, the four-way stop at those intersections should make it a safer way to traverse.
Well, thanks for your quick action on that. I know there were, I guess not one, but 2 accidents over the weekend at one intersection there. And so just a note to those listening, just to be cautious when you're driving in the area. Residents of the area, the signage has changed. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the area, just drive carefully through that detour route. It is a residential area, and you may not be familiar with the traffic signage in the area, so just drive carefully there. Thank you. Well, if there's no other business, we stand adjourned this evening.
Before we leave, we had a birthday last week, and we got a birthday this week, so maybe we ought to sing happy birthday to Ruth, and then Danielle. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ruth. Danielle. Happy birthday to you.